Hello and welcome to the Explaindio 4.0 video course. In this video, I'll give you an overview of the timeline. This will probably be one of the longer videos because there is a lot to cover, so let's get started. When you first open Explaindio, you won't see anything on the timeline until you open a project or create a new one. In a previous video, I showed you how to create a basic video project. So let's open that project. I'll click Open Project and then choose Browse Disk. I'll choose the project file and click Open. In this video project, we had only one scene with two elements, a text element and an image element. Whenever you add an element to a scene, it creates an entry in the timeline with a gray bar. You'll notice this little black arrow, which can be dropped down like so, and it'll display the animation. I can do the same thing for the image element, like so. You'll also notice this slider for each element. The length of the slider determines the speed of the animation. The shorter the slider, the faster the animation, and the longer the slider, the slower the animation. You'll also notice that the image element is placed first in the timeline, and the text element is placed later, which means that the image will animate first, and then the text element will animate next, as you can see. If I move this gray bar for the text element to this chart like so, you'll notice that both elements will animate simultaneously, as you can see. For each element, you can add an in animation and one out animation. So let's add an out animation to the image element by clicking this area. Let's choose Fade and Fade Out. And you'll notice a second slider. You can control the speed of the animation using the slider, like so, as I mentioned earlier. So if I wanted the image to animate first, then fade out, and then for the text to animate, I would drag this gray bar for the text element and align it with the fade out slider, like so. Let me open the canvas and then rearrange the two elements to overlap each other, like so. And let's do a quick preview. And as you can see, the logo animates first and fades out, and then the text animates later. For each element in the timeline, you'll notice these little buttons, so let me cover some of these. This S button is the hand sync feature, which I'll cover in a separate video. This lock button locks the element in place, so it cannot be edited or moved. Let me lock it. This is the duplicate button, and if I click on it, it will duplicate the element, including the animations. These X buttons allow you to delete the animation or the element itself. So if I click this X button, it'll delete the out animation, and if I click this X button, it'll delete the element itself. These buttons up top allow you to show and hide the timeline. So if I click on the Hide button, it will hide the timeline, like so. If I click on the S button, I can see a small portion of the timeline. If I click on the M button, it displays more of the timeline, but you'll also notice that it shrinks the canvas. And the same with the large option. Finally, you can hover your mouse over this horizontal gray bar, and you'll see this double-headed arrow, and you can then left-click and manually drag the timeline, like so. You'll also notice a ruler at the top. Each marker is half a second, and this right here is the 5-second mark. Finally, let me show you how to add another scene to the project. Click this Add button, choose Create New Scene, and you'll see a blank canvas. Let's add a pre-made slide. I'll choose Add Explaindio Slide. It'll start loading the scenes gallery. And I'll choose the Add Caster template, and then the Scene Template 7, and then click Add Single. And finally, I'll click Add. And if I close the canvas, you'll see a quick preview of the scene template that we just added. you can rearrange the order of the scenes by dragging and dropping them in the timeline like so. Well, hopefully this overview video helped you understand the Explaindio timeline. In a separate video, I'll give you an overview of the tab section. So I'll see you in the next video.